And welcome, everyone. Yes, we are here again today with breaking news on every front, on many different fronts. And I would like to first start off by acknowledging Victorious Kulvinauskas. So I have lots of photographs of him, but I couldn't find them. I couldn't bring them up in time to put them on. I want to just take a moment to say how much means to me. When I first came to Los Angeles, I would go to the Beverly Hills Juice Club, and it was there that Jennifer, one of the part owners there of the Juice Club, she said to me, "Oh, well, how long have you been raw?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" And she said, "How long have you been raw?" And I said, "I have no idea what that is, and I have no idea what you're talking about." She says, "Well, everything you eat is raw." And I said, "What does that mean?" I just thought of it as fresh foods. I was just eating naturally, just instinctively. And she says, "Oh gosh, yes, there's a raw food movement." And I said, "How can that be?" And then she gave me a copy. She made a copy for me of Victoria Kulvinauskas' book. And this was a book that was called Survival in the 21st Century, Planetary Healer's Manual. This is something that has changed the lives of just about every single leader in the living foods movement. And Victorious himself was, in my opinion, from my own personal contacts with him, and I did bring him to LA, and we had a award ceremony when I was doing the um, Raw Food Film Festival and the Green Lifestyle Film Festival, and he was one of the gentlest, most fun creatures I have ever been in touch with. So Victorious himself, this is my favorite photograph of him. I think this says everything about him. And what I see here is him staring back into from whence we all came. And in my opinion, longing to be there. I always thought he belonged there more than he belonged here on Earth. And this is another photo of him dancing in Costa Rica in the last years of his life. So he was in Costa Rica, and he made his transition on the 29th, so just a few days ago, maybe 3 days ago, 29th of December. And this is also a photograph that's very well known of him, Victorious. And Victorious is known for starting the actual, with Anne, is known alongside Anne Wigmore, I should say. And he is known with Anne Wigmore of starting the so many things. He started a lot of things, but with Anne Wigmore, he started the Hippocrates Health Institute in Boston, where he developed the original live food program. He was totally with me on not calling it raw, but live foods. So that program has since helped millions of people, and even their animals. And because that program restored their health through the power of living enzyme-rich foods. And his work not only simply introduced a new way of eating, but it actually awakened a movement. He's often called the grandfather of the living foods movement. And it offered hope to so many who had run out of options after doctors told them they've done everything they could, and not that they knew what they were doing, but he was a man of sharp intellect and intuitive genius. And I'm big on intuition, so of course I adored him. And he's also a prolific and generous author. And his book, his seminal book, is of course Survival in the 21st Century. If you've never read it, I strongly suggest you do so, because this became the foundational text for many of us, and known as the Bible of raw living foods, with over 400 medical journal references and more than 500,000 copies in print. It remains today as a guiding light for those seeking a natural, conscious, and empowered way of living. So, over more than 5 decades, Victorious has worn many hats as an educator, researcher, chef, an author, retreat director. But what most people do not realize is that he gave up a successful consulting career that included working with the Apollo mission. He also gave up his successful career of working at MIT, working at the Smithsonian, and at Harvard University. And he chose instead to follow a much deeper calling one that was rooted in healing, consciousness, and oh my gosh, compassion. And along with Anne Wigmore, as I said before, they co-founded the Hippocrates Institute in Boston. He developed the original life food program, and just about everyone he was a mentor to, from Dick Gregory to Gabriel Cousins to Dr. Brian Clement to Edward Howell to David Wolfe. He was just the person that really sparked the enthusiasm for this lifestyle and made it what it is today. So I am so thrilled and happy to tell you exactly how he made his transition. I learned this from Cherie Surya, with whom I studied and got my certification as a living food chef. And Cherie's now living also in Costa Rica, and she said that at 7:01 Costa Rica time, Victorious Kluvinaskas left this earth in a beautiful, conscious transition, as those of us who knew him would expect. Now, this is what I love. This is so him. I got so thrilled when I read this. He rose out of bed, stood on his own, hugged his son and daughter-in-law, telling them how much he loved them before laying down and taking his last breath. Such was Victorious Kluvinaskas, a hero to many, a savior to millions. So, with this in mind, I am bringing in the wonderful, inimitable, one and only Rosalind Graham. Rosalind,
Hello, Doreen. Hello. Hello, everybody. Oh, thank you so much for such a fabulous, fabulous celebration of dear Victorious's life. I knew him well, loved him dearly, and every word you say is so true, Dorit. He was an inspiration to millions and saved so many people's lives simply by the presence of his own life. And what a beautiful, beautiful transition he made by the sound of it. And that touches my heart very deeply.
Yeah, I was thrilled with this transition. I was dancing off actually because he loved to dance. And when Cherie told us that, I was like, I got so excited. I said, that is so Victorious. It is so him to go that way. And that's exactly what I wish to do. I wish to be dancing though. That's the only difference. And I'm surprised he didn't dance. I'm very surprised he didn't dance. Because when we had him here in Los Angeles, and I invited him to receive a prize, and he danced the night away. And I was able, it was wonderful dancing with him. And I am just so happy that he went, this is so his style to have gone that way,
Yes.
on his own terms, the way that he is. Could you tell us something of that personal about him, if you don't mind, Rosalind, or anything you wish to share?
I think I remember a time distinctly, actually, when I introduced Victorious to my one and only daughter, Francesca, when she was just a little tiny baby. And he walked up to her, and typical of him, he had in his eyes such an angelic look. In fact, by seeing her as a tiny baby, somehow seemed to strengthen his connection with the higher consciousness. And he looked at her for a while in thought. And then, in a very matter-of-fact way, he looked up at me and said, "Rosalind, your daughter is going to be in the arts." And as a total matter of fact, and people might be interested to know that my daughter now has umpteen songs out on Spotify that she's written herself, played the music for herself, and sung herself, and produced almost by herself. So Victorious was right. And I don't know which struck me more, the look of divine connection he had in his eyes when he looked upon her, or the actual fact that he should come up with such a matter-of-fact statement that's turned out to be entirely true.
And this is exactly why this is my favorite photograph of him.
Yes.
To me, he looks not here. He's like in here, but he's not here. He's really looking at the truth of who we are, and he's beyond the earth. And I've always thought he was beyond the earth, and I was surprised he stayed so long. And towards the end, he was blind. He went
Mm.
blind in the eyes for, and he just seemed to flow with it.
Do you
Really,
know the irony, Dorit, is that he might have been blind of this world, but he could still see more than most of us will ever see?
I absolutely agree with that 100%. When he looked at me or anyone else around me, I always felt it was like, is this, we all of us are parts of the divine. We all of
Mm.
us are here to represent different sparks of the divine. But with Victorious, it was like, how many of much of the divine is in this creature? I mean, he has just taken it all and come here and is totally bringing it on. I mean, look, this is my absolute foot. And I'm thrilled for him. And I danced for him and I said, hi, Victorious, here you go. Here's your send off. I'm so happy what you did. I am just thrilled with this man,
Mm. Yeah.
as am I with Rosalind Graham.
Uh,
So, Rosalind, you yourself, you are really creating waves for yourself. Tell us about your own breaking news, please.
well, I'm very, very excited, Dorit, to share this with you. It's something that I've had a vision of for a considerable period of time and wasn't quite sure when the birthing of it was to occur or if it was to occur at all. But it has struck me for a long time that the growth of the raw vegan movement has become really prolific in recent years. And prior to these recent years, in fact, if we go back in history, decades, of course, we have the Vegetarian Society representing all the vegetarians of the world in various different countries. There's long, long since been a vegetarian society. And slightly more recently than that, we've had vegan societies all over the place, including here in London. And it struck me deeply that it was a little odd we didn't have a raw vegan society, because after all, we are now a very large number of the population comparatively. And so I've been percolating with this idea of a raw vegan society. And finally, actually on the last day of the UK Fruit Fest of last summer, I announced that the Raw Vegan Society was going to happen and it was being launched. I was blown away by the incredibly positive response that I had to this. People were so enthusiastic, sort of seeing the Raw Vegan Society as some kind of mothership, which I suppose in essence is what I was hoping it would be. A place where people could go to get education, to get support, to get social connection, to be able to get their questions answered, and a whole myriad of other resources and provisions. And so the enthusiasm fueled my enthusiasm even more. And I was very blessed to be able to gather together a wonderful committee. And in amongst that committee, also a board of trustees. Now, technically, the board of trustees is always the founder or chairperson, the secretary and the treasurer, which is essentially what our board of trustees is all about. But we have a very dedicated committee, and the committee members have been absolutely wonderful. We decided, first of all, that we would gradually unfold the Raw Vegan Society in phases. We wanted to go very steadily and very surely to make sure that everything was really solid before we moved on to the next thing. So between this summer and the 1st of January, which was of course yesterday, we entered into phase 0, which sounds as if it's doing nothing, but in actual fact, in the background, a great deal was going on, including my daughter's work at putting our website together. And over that period of time, we were able to identify the basic provisions that we wanted to start getting into place. Now, what was intriguing was that those who were interested, we sent out a questionnaire and asked, what sort of things do you want your Raw Vegan Society to provide? And my goodness me, we had a tsunami of suggestions, all of which were absolutely superb and very exciting, but no way could we implement all of these straight away. So we decided that in phase 1, we would have some very specific provisions. And we are very proud to say that we had actually come out just a little while ago, our very first online magazine, which is now going to be coming out seasonally or quarterly, I should say, because of course this is an international society. And so whilst we're enjoying dare I say, enjoying our freezing cold British winter, there are those who, of course, are having a very sunny, warm time. So our quarterly magazine that's going to be sent out online, our international magazine, it's packed with articles, interviews, news, recipes, and loads more of other things to help fuel people's enthusiasm, education, and that feeling of being part of something, of being part of a community. So in phase 0, we sent out this magazine just free to everybody, anybody who wanted to have a look at it and see what we were all about. But as of January the 1st, we then started taking memberships. And now members can access not only that an online magazine that's going to be coming out on a quarterly basis, but also can join us for our monthly online gatherings where we have presenters talking about all sorts of interesting things, and there'll be a recipe each time, a time for questions to be asked, and news about the developments of the society. So that's something else that's a benefit of becoming a member other than just the magazine. In addition to that, we have an international events calendar on our website. Again, only will be accessible to members. And this calendar hopefully is going to incorporate every raw vegan event that's going on around the world, and also some events which simply are complementary to the raw vegan diet and lifestyle. They might not perhaps be purely raw vegan, but certainly very supportive of that, and have a lot of motivational talks and so forth, and perhaps scientific evidence and studies announced from the stage that will help people feel a little more secure in what they're doing. So our international events calendar will be kept constantly updated, and also on our website you can click on an event that you see on the calendar and you will go to another page where you get lots of information all about what it's really entailing and how to book and how much it costs and so on and so forth. So for the moment, we have our lovely website, which is still being developed and will continue to be developed on an ongoing basis and updated. Actually, my daughter Francesca is heading that up and doing a beautiful job. And further down the line, as our phases unfold, we came up with a couple of rather amusing titles for 2 initiatives that we're trying to get in place. One is PAIRS, P-E-A-R-S, like the fruit. But actually it's all about pairs, P-A-I-R-S, because so many people have contacted us and said, if you're having a raw vegan society, please can you try and bring us singles together with our future life partner, or at least somebody with whom we can, you know, develop a lovely friendship with. So our PAIRS initiative is going to be coming into place as soon as we have all our proper data protection organised for such a venture, and our safeguarding and so on and so forth. Couch tomatoes, a bit of a play on words from we couldn't really have couch potatoes, so we've got couch tomatoes. There are many people around the world who've said they'd be very happy to host raw vegans if they're passing through and would like a bed for the night or would like to stay for a couple of days. People trying to reach out, make social connections and provide a service. So you will be able to access a list, an international list of all members of the Raw Vegan Society who would welcome you with open arms and plenty of fruit should you choose to stop by for a visit or to stop overnight. Regional representatives is something that we're going to be developing more too. We've just very much in the starting gates with that. And those regional representatives will be checking out in their area restaurants, hotels, cafes that are sympathetic to the raw vegan diet, or even exclusively promoting raw veganism in some cases. And we will be having a whole list of endorsed establishments so that wherever you are in the world, you can see where you can pop in to a cafe, a restaurant, or even spend the night in a hotel, knowing that you're not going to be walking on, you know, animal skin rugs or having feather down duvets over you as you sleep, as well as being able to access suitable food to keep hunger from the door. We are also going to be having recommended reading lists. I mean, the list goes on. And as I say, as the various phases of the society unfold, more and more provisions and services will be in place. So it's very, very exciting. If people are interested, they just need to go to our website, which is rawvegansociety.org. rawvegansociety.com. It's not the Raw Vegan Society on the website, it's just rawvegansociety.com, and you'll straight away see our website. If you'd like to go to little button that tells you can join and click on that, you'll find that it's just a small amount of money to become a member for a whole 12 months. And all of the funds, every single penny, dollar and dime of it, goes straight back into investing into the society without exception. So if you want to be part of this wonderful new society that I'm very excited about, or would like to feel more socially connected, if just that alone, then please do join us and come along to our online gatherings. And long term, down the line, we will eventually get to that point where we are really hoping to have the annual summer Raw Vegan Society residential festival. So that's our big long-term dream, which hopefully won't be too far away. So I think that tells you most about it. And I look forward to hearing from people who'd like to come and join us and be part of this. I think it's something that's...
Rosalind, what's a residential festival?
I'm sorry?
What's a residential festival?
Residential festival is a festival where the facilities allow us to stay overnight for perhaps 5 days to a week at a time. So it's as opposed to people just visiting for a day, or even actually people camping. We're hoping to have a festival whereby it's in a very large, perhaps a college or a university during the summer months, where there's plenty of space for everyone to have their own room and be immersed in the raw vegan community for an entire week.
Delightful. Well, thank you for this. This is exciting. How do you feel about this, Pete? I'm sure you're very excited because you have a festival. Why don't you talk about it here and see how this can work together?
Oh, yes. I've been doing it for the last, I think, 3 years. So yeah, it's amazing. I mean, first I'd like to mention about Victorious. It was a great influence on me. The book was I think I got it about 8 years ago, and didn't read all the way through it, but each time I would pick it up, something new, and it blew me away. Especially over the last year where we were looking at Victorious and Anne Wigmore, and embodied so much of it. It was divine, honestly divine, and it was. I would strongly recommend that book as well. That's one of the books we have on our websites that really strongly influenced me and my partner. So an amazing man from what I had read and seen of him in some interviews. Very kind of metaphysical as well. I think some certain sentences really go deep, and showed me he had a lot of deeper esoteric kind of awareness as well. Where I say, did he really say that? Wow. So yes, and his passing, how beautiful as well. So I just wanted to say that. And to Rosalind as well. What a beautiful thing to do. It really needed it in England, really need grounding, and your years of experience, couldn't be a better person. It feels like to actually bring that forth, and what you presented is just amazing. It's like things or whatever anyone needs. It's beautiful, and obviously, as you say, it's still unfolding. Yeah, me, I've 17 years on the journey, and I'm doing small festivals and sauna, taking a raw live vegan gourmet cafe, making it as gourmet as possible to support people on a transition and just get people to experience foods, much more healthier foods. And then the sauna. So it was all about nurture. And then over the last 5 years, implemented a small event, small festival, just jumped in really. And, 50-ish at a time. And beautiful character building, and beautiful for the people who come as well. Majority of the people, so it's been really nice to be able to create that space and share that space. I would say it's quite tough in England. This is what I realized from traveling away and coming back. You know, allegedly there was 1% raw fooders in the world, but I remember someone. But then when we did a little bit of calculation of maybe in London, maybe it's a point of a percent, but maybe it's changing. But so yeah, it would be really nice to kind of collaborate in different ways and you know, join the membership, because I think some of us can be a bit isolated, and that's the whole thing of me why I kept putting myself out there, or why I was shown or guided to get out there. You know, we can make it very too much of a personal journey, and it's really beautiful to share. That's how I came across it, by, you know, a young man sharing me his experience, and then going to potlucks as well, just blew me away. So the more gatherings that can be out there, and people holding the raw vegan flag, speaks volumes on many levels of animal friendly, human friendly, and, you know, more compassionate to the world in general.
Thank you for that. Rosalind, do you want to have any response? By the way, Rosalind, I want to let you know that also London was also the capital, and this is at the beginning of the 20th century, of the first Jewish vegan society as well.
Oh,
So
that's interesting, Dorit. Very interesting. And Pete, what a beautiful, beautiful thing you've been doing. That's absolutely wonderful. And my heart goes out to you, because yes, it can be tough, but I think, like I sense with you, there is such a passion behind what you're trying to do, and such a belief coming from an incredibly good place. It is about helping other people heal and helping them get in touch with who they really are, which is really what Victoris did. He helped people get back in touch with who they really were and who they were born to be. And so it's such a beautiful thing to hear your words and how you value the importance of people coming together, people not feeling isolated, because I think in isolation, it's very easy to get influenced more strongly by the surrounding masses. And when we come together with the beautiful intent that we have, there is a fantastic energy that is greater than the individual component parts of that group. Once we all get together in each other's company, and such as you, I'm sure you felt at your event with your 50 people, there is a beautiful energy with that, which is really beyond description, and certainly beyond just the individuals there. It's something very special. And so thank you so much for being out there and persevering regardless of the fact that it can be tough, and carrying forwards that wonderful vision that I can see in your eyes when you speak about what's needed and how things could be. I really bless you. Thank you.
thank you for that. I'm going to bring in Lisa. Lisa, your voice is really important, because you are not in the raw vegan movement at all. And I would love to know, what do you think when you hear of what Rosalind has put together with this society?
I think it's, from my perspective, just a beautiful way to create opportunities for people that are outside of it to have kind of a multi-dimensional home for people that are curious or starting their journey, to have a place to go to learn. Because, like you were talking about, community is extremely important. It's interesting because I had transitioned with Dorit's guidance, and it's been a beautiful journey. And since I've been home, I have I have kind of, I've kept to it, but there's been some returning to some of my choices, and I was thinking about it today. I really noticed a significant difference in terms of not only how I feel physically, but how I feel emotionally. So having a home to go to, I think, is a great place for people that are new or have no idea or just kind of want to start, because I believe that knowledge is truly power. So thank you for creating such a beautiful home.
Oh.
Any response to that?
Yeah, bless you, Lisa. Thank you so much. And it is surprising how many people have just recently started out on this path. You know, I've heard people say, "Oh, the raw vegan movement is becoming less," but I disagree. From my experiences, the raw vegan movement is not only here to stay, but it's growing all the time. I think it might be that people who perhaps had a higher profile have now become a little bit more confident. They're not quite so much there seeking education and so on. They've become quite educated and are managing their own raw veganism really well. So have returned to being a little bit more private about them. But I don't think it means that they've disappeared. And certainly, particularly with people who are new to the raw vegan diet, I absolutely agree with you that to be able to go somewhere where they can find information that's congruent. And I think that's a very important word, because in my experience, there are so many wonderful people passionate about this raw vegan diet and lifestyle that they've discovered, but they are still quite early on in their journey, some of them, and still searching in every direction and inevitably teaching where they currently are at. And you can always sort of spot these people, because if you follow their teachings, what they're teaching keeps changing as they discover things for themselves and as they gain more education. And the problem is with that although the passion is wonderful and the enthusiasm is great, that it starts to become a little incongruent, and people sense that. So to be able to go somewhere where you can get some clarity, I think, is very important, particularly for people who are starting out and don't have that underlying already education and information in place. So we're hoping certainly to provide that. And like I think we've all agreed, the social coming together is a very vital part, as throughout history, let's face it, you know, eating and sharing food has been one way for humans to connect with each other. And so if you're eating food that's different than everybody else around you, it's very easy to either be ostracized or at least feel ostracized. And therefore, the sort of the fabric of society potentially starts to break down. And I think it's vital that that doesn't happen, that instead of that, the fabric of society gets strengthened as people who previously were strangers to each other come together with a like-minded passion and find that they have new friendships and new support and new inspiration from people all around the world. And this is why very much I want it to be an international society, although it's based in England, because simply, I know that's where I am. But international is very, very important, because I think the more we can all recognize our oneness, doesn't matter what country you're in, the greater chance we actually have one day for world peace. It's connection. It's finding those commonalities. It's sharing, whether it's sharing food or sharing passions. But that's what it's all about. And from there, once we realize our oneness, we can grow empathy. And once we grow empathy, then so many of the world's problems are simply solved. They just melt away.
As always, your elegance and your eloquence just blow me away. Thank you, Rosalind. With that, I'm going to bring on Phil. Phil, before we go into the Raw Vegan Society here, that Rosalind has so remarkably put together, could you tell us about your own acquaintance of Victorious and your own response to how we started today?
Wow. Yeah. So, hi, Rosalind. Yeah, Victorious, I first came across his book when I was in New Zealand in 2000 and, yep, decided in the 21st century, 2006. I reckon it was, if my memory serves me well. And a bit like Pete, I haven't read it all, dipped in and out of it. I've got it on my bookshelf. It sits there with many other raw food books, and I dip in and out of it from time to time. And some of the teachings are just really profound. So I love him for that. In the early days of Anne Wigmore at the Hippocrates Health Institute in Boston, that was my starting point in 1999. That the book of Hippocrates, that was the first raw food book I ever bought, and followed it for a long time. So very sad for such a great man to have gone, but very blessed to have had such a great man in our movement, and to have been the grandfather for so many people. He wasn't someone that I had the pleasure of really meeting or coming across. I met lots of other people in the raw food movement, including Rosalind, and I was very privileged in 2006 to spend quite a lot of time with Rosalind, as she remembers, sat on a sofa. I'm trying to rack my brains now. I was chefing, and Rosalind and Doug were lecturing when Karen Nola was doing the Get Fresh Festival.
That's right.
And I've not long trained with Gable, so I was very much in the green, zero fruit. And I remember our conversation really well because my head went. And now, of course, Rosalind, I know you were right. It takes a while sometimes. So, yeah, to finish off with that, with the Raw Vegan Society, I think that's epic. It's a brilliant thing to have done. It needs a container, it needs grounding out, it needs holding. So, I took my knowledge of raw foods to festivals in 2008. That was the first year I did it. And I was the weirdo in the field, right, with this weird food that everyone was. But then people knew the festival that I started off at, it became known as the festival where you could get raw food.
Well, thank you so much for your enthusiasm, Phil. That's fantastic. I really appreciate that. And yes, I don't think it's a question of I was right. I think it's a question of nature is always right. The beautiful divine creation of everything. You can't fault it. You can't fault it. And it's a delight, I think, to discover it in its beauty and its complexity. That fantastic. Yes, gosh, that was a while ago now. I remember a while ago. And it's a journey for all of us, every one of us. And sometimes that journey can take some unexpected turns, and sometimes even some wrong turns. But I think if our intent for truth, for the search of truth, is always what's driving our forward motion, then even if we take a sideways path or perhaps access information that isn't accurate, providing that intent of truth searching is there, we always come back to the main path that's going to take us there every time.
And that's interesting about you talking about our journey taking, unexpected turns. Speaking of which, Irv just had an unexpected turn. So, Irv, can you tell us what's going on with you? And also, if you want to speak about Victorious or you would have anything to say to Rosalind, please go ahead.
Sure thing. Thank you. Hi, Rosalind. Wonderful to be associated with you on here. And it's so beautiful to hear your expression, your words, your love, your compassion, the intention. It's so touching and nourishing. And congratulations and thank you to you and everyone involved in launching the Vegan Society. It's exactly what's needed. It's the future. It's gonna benefit everyone. And yeah, I love the ideas, the incentives, a place for everyone to come together for clarity, connection. It's beautiful. It really, really is. I'm so grateful for that. And yeah, I love to be involved and supporting that and the message itself. So thank you. And yes, Victorious, I wasn't much aware of him, but I can surely feel his presence of love and compassion from listening to what has been shared about him and all those that he has influenced, which must have trickled down and influenced me as well to be on this path. So it's truly wonderful. I would love to have had the pleasure to have been more aware of him, even meet him. Sounds, like you say, purely divine to be in the presence of a being. So that's wonderful to be aware of him, and I will look more into him as well from now on. So thank you for another gift. And yeah, for me, what happened recently, some changes, what Dorit alluded to, what she mentioned, is that I got hit by a car recently on my bike. I was riding on a big ride, trying to complete this winter challenge to ride 500 kilometers in the space of 6 days, and I was on target for it. And yeah, in all the years I've been cycling, I've never ever been hit by a car before. I've had close encounters. I've been hit by a deer and other cyclists, but never ever a car. It was quite a horrific event. It was not much I could do at all. As a car coming towards me, and yeah, just turned in front of me into the junction on my left. It all happened so fast, and fortunately I'm okay. I haven't broken anything. I'm in quite a lot of pain, but that's expected. That's fine. But I put my recovery and survival, shall we say, to fruit and vegetables, being raw vegan, fruitarian, for sure. It gave me a soft landing and take the impact quite well, and for a speedy recovery. So yeah, that's what happened to me, and what I took from that I'm grateful for, obviously, to be here. But the care and consideration of everyone else after the incident, the driver that hit me went out of their way to make sure I was okay. Took me into their home, met with their husband, and they were so kind and so caring, and yeah, took me to the hospital, took me home, and yeah, just reassured me everything was fine. And yeah, they were so grateful for how I treated them, that I wasn't aggressive. I had compassion for them. I felt sorry for them just as much as they felt sorry for me. It's just one of those things that we get involved and can't help and make the best of the situation.
Thank you for that. Rosalind, I'm going to bring you back on again.
I just felt really touched, Herb, when I listened to you recount that story of the accident, because what a beautiful demonstration of how it should be when there's that sort of incidents. This mutual care, this mutual compassion, this mutual lack of need to blame, and overridden by an innate need to love and care and help and support. I mean, what a beautiful demonstration of that. Bless you and bless them. I'm so sorry that this accident happened, Herb. I mean, it sounds really awful. I'm still trying to get my head around the idea of being hit by a deer on a bicycle. I can't even imagine. But yes, I think that sometimes these things happen in life, and it gives us a glimpse of how things could be if everyone came from a place of that divine love and compassion and empathy. There's so much road rage that goes on, and when these accidents usually happen, it's such a violent outcome. But this was just a beautiful healing demonstration of what it could be like. So in a sense, what a terrible thing, but in another sense, what a gift, to be part of something that demonstrates what it can be like.
Yes, I agree with you wholly. I totally agree with you with this, Rosalind, because when you look at it, it sounds, when listening to the way that Herb describes it, it sounds like a divine encounter. Like this is something that was meant to be, and they needed to come together for whatever reason. Maybe they now go apart, but it sounds pretty much like a divine encounter. Lisa, I see you shaking your head. Do you want to add to this?
I was just blown away by Herb's just beautiful compassion, and in the wake of something so overwhelming and scary. And it's exactly, it really, I think it illuminates how when we are guided in a divine way, like Rosalind was sharing, when we're coming from that place of compassion and empathy, how we can expand, and just simply sharing that with us and reminding us that, I think we as a society, have undergone such tremendous change, and there's kind of a rush to react in our world and to kind of come from the lens, especially with social media, to come from the lens of, you're wrong, I'm right, and you hurt me, and to remember that we're just humans, and the accidents happen, we make mistakes, and to remind ourselves that we're in this world together. And I'm so grateful for that reminder. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, Lisa. Well stated indeed. In fact, so much so that I actually think that when Herb looks back at this years from now, he will see that this indeed was a divine encounter, and he will see other things that as a result have come forth. When I think of it, I'm thinking here in Los Angeles, it probably would have been another hit and run. The person would have just gone ahead and pretended it never happened. But this was just, it was just so beautifully done. When just listening to Herb describe it, I wanted more. I wanted to hear more about this encounter. And I am just thrilled that in this community we find some really incredible experiences that need to be showcased through the Raw Vegan Society. And that's why we need that Raw Vegan Society. So it brings me back to you, Rosalind.
Well, I would invite. It's interesting because, of course, being British, I say herb, and then I hear other people use the word herb. So please correct me if I'm wrong. But incidentally, it would be wonderful if you wanted to contribute to our magazine by writing a little piece for us about that incident, as a beautiful example of really a sort of divine connection, a moment of example and inspiration. It would be lovely. And I do also very much agree with you, Herb, that I think your raw vegan diet has put you in very good stead for healing quickly and healing well. I'm truly sorry that you're suffering. It pains me that you should suffer, but I think that your recovery will definitely be quicker on this diet and lifestyle. So yeah, but if you'd like to contribute anything, it's not a command by any means, but it's an invitation. We would be thrilled to print such a thing.
Any response at all, Herb? Would you like to respond?
Yes, totally. That's beautiful suggestion, and yeah, very much so. Love to contribute. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And yeah, it was so nice as well on the way home when the gentleman took me to the hospital. He was talking like how calm I was about it all, and I said to him, "Yeah, it's down to the diet and the fruit." So encourage an opportunity to share, being living on living food.
What was the response to that?
He was intrigued. He was interested because he'd mentioned he had had some issues of like his joint pains, and he had physio in the past. And I shared a story when I went through a really bad time with horrific injuries, which led me to being fruitarian and managed to heal myself. So I shared that with him, and yeah, he's considering it, but I reckon I'll have to see him a few more times. So there may be a beautiful friendship developed there from it.
Oh, lovely.
Maybe you'll join this society also, Rosalind, because this is not just for people who are in the community, it's for everyone, just to take from the outside in look. Is this correct or not?
Yes, certainly, Dorit. In fact, if one goes to our website, it's very clearly stated what our mission statement is, who we are, what we're about, and so forth, for everybody to see. You don't have to be a member to see any of that information. And it really gives interested parties, or even mildly interested parties, a good understanding of what we're all about and why we do what we do. So yes, please, let's all encourage potentially interested people, such as those who you met in your accident, Herb, and to check out the website and read a little bit and find out if they want to know more and join us.
Wonderful.
Delightful. Yes. So I'm going to go back to something that Lisa had said, and she was talking about, overreacting. These are my own words, not hers. The overreaction that we have sometimes when something happens, and blaming, and that's the most important part of the whole encounter. Whereas here, the encounter seemed to be a knowing of each other, an opportunity to get to know each other. And I'm going to be telling you something which goes against what Rosalind just said. She saw you're in pain. I'm glad you're in pain, Herb, because it was through pain that I actually became very alive. It's very important, I think, to have pain. And one of the things that I do with my new book, which is this is the companion to the book Being Healthy, is to help to teach people to accept pain as being the precursor to a tremendous amount of deeper healing that goes within us. And if we don't have pain, most of the time we forget we have a body. And I know, Rosie, for you to say that after what you also hugely just recovered from, I don't know if you want to speak about that, because that was tremendous. And boy, you survived, and I am absolutely in awe that you survived what you did. I don't know if you want to mention it. That's why I'm not mentioning it here in detail.
I don't mind mentioning at all, Dorit. Seems a tiny bit self-indulgent, but I certainly will. It was just over a year now that I got trampled by a horse really quite badly. Wasn't his fault, I hasten to add. He got scared. I was in the wrong place. I was trying to do up some buckles on the rug that he was wearing to keep him warm in the cold night, when suddenly he got frightened and hit me, I can only say like a freight train, actually. And he was in a stable, and I flew across the stable with the force of his hit, and very severely laterally whiplashed my neck and smashed my head against a wall. And in his panic, he then trampled on my back. So the result of it all was that I had a brain injury, severe whiplash, damage to my liver, and the muscles in my back were crushed. So it's been a long journey of not being able to eat for a good period of time, because the little sphincter between my stomach and my esophagus was also damaged. So I lost a lot of weight, and and became quite feeble and weak for a good period of time. I mean, the first 3 weeks I was flat on my back in bed, staring at the ceiling, couldn't get to the bathroom. And after the 3 weeks, I eventually managed to totter around a little, but another 3 months before I was even vaguely functional. So, I had to put some trust in the medics and do things which I would prefer not to have had done, investigations to find out where the damage was, but it was necessary. So I feel very grateful for all the help of the NHS as well. And but it's very interesting, Dorit, when you talk about the pain, I think that it is so true that these challenges in life are the fertile soil so often for our personal growth and development as well. I think they bring with them immense opportunities on so many different levels. And I certainly found that myself in the recovery from my accident, that I had, apart from anything else, practically, lying there staring at the ceiling, I had 3 weeks to really do some deep soul searching. And I do believe that the accident happened for a reason. And I do believe that ultimately the reason was worth having the accident for. So it's all a matter of how we see the purpose of life in the first place, I think. But I'm just very, very glad to be here, and so grateful, Dorit, for your love and your friendship and your support throughout my recovery. It really did mean so, so much to me, and was a good part of my recovery. So I have some empathy with you directly there, Herb. Sometimes things just happen, hey? But we have to draw from that happening. We have to find the jewel in the dirt, because there's always a jewel in the dirt, at least one. And we have to take it and we have to polish it and call it ours. And that's part of life.
And I think now Herb will become the poster boy for, not just healing what hurts, but becoming friends with this, just the person
Yeah.
who seemed to have been the instrument of it, and just see it as just another two human beings coming in touch with each other accidentally. What it seems to us accidentally, what it seems to us. I would have loved to have had Victorious' take on this, because he was always had a very interesting, look perception on these things. And this brings me to Pete. Have you had severe injuries, Pete, or accidents? And with everybody, we have 4 minutes left, just so you all know.
Okay, I'll try and be as quick as possible. Many, many, many. And I work with my hands. So, in terms of whether not being so present or whatever it may be, I mean, in learning astrology and Jin Shin Jiaitsu, you realize in terms of repressed cellular memory, energy blocked, and we all have blind spots. We drive our car, potentially, and we've got warning lights to sort of show us, and we can even ignore them. And so it's being aware, really, that potentially we're maybe getting it too focused in one area, and it's become a detrimental rather than, was benefit for us. And I can see how things have become detrimental and a kind of bit of a holic running away from myself in terms of workaholic. So I have had many, really, too many to talk about. And as we mentioned in the early days, that they're all opportunities. You don't become the most potentially liked person mentioning things like that in terms of the pain. Hence we do it. Me and my partner, when we're in England, do ice baths, and you go through, and there's some epic times, even with the cravings of food, and doing my protocol, and witnessing the trauma after trauma after trauma, and in the ice bath, witnessing things that you've forgotten. So, if we don't have protocols like that, we can go on in life, and then bang, 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 really, is what I had up until the age of 43, until I had a 4 come down and give me one big bang and told me I wouldn't be around next year if I didn't change. So I could write a book on that.
I think we'll do a show about it, because Phil, I'm going to bring you on because you are a builder, so you must have had several of these, or near misses at least.
A bit like Pete. I think between us we could do some kind of a novel. Yeah, when I was 21, I fell through a roof and broke my back. So that was my big one. And here I am, right? I'm still upright. I'm walking, and as a carpenter, I've got all my fingers. So that's all. Touch wood. That's always a good sign. Yeah, present. If we get caught in the soup of someone else's stuff, and we go round and round, we're not present. Well, yeah, recently, see that one there? I got caught in someone's soup, wasn't present, whack. But I got it. The interesting thing was, once I stopped the blood and I was seeing again, it was like, okay, got it, and instantly let it go and was present. Very, very interesting. So I think everything is actually, if it wasn't on purpose, that's the problem. We have to be on purpose, and we get sent these things every time for a reason.
Absolutely, agreed thoroughly. And we are about to finish. Just 30 seconds. What would you like to leave us with about the society you're creating, Rosalind?
Really to say that, we are a society with our arms opening or opened, and just really wanting you to be embraced by it. So if anyone wants to contact me directly, please just ask Dorit, and Dorit, please give people my contact details. It's probably the easiest way to do it right now, quickly. But yes, I'm excited, and I think we're going to be here to stay, and we're growing, and I would love you all to be part of it.
Congratulations, and thank you so very much. And I am thrilled that you're doing this. Thanks everyone for watching today. Share this so they know about the society.